Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So today we're going to talk about Games Workshop and we're going to talk about how much the company has grown. There's been some new financial records that have been released, which always happens around this time of year, and the GW shares have just exceeded all expectations. There's actually £5 million in staff bonuses because GW do share their success with their staff. So if you had a staff member, if you want to like buy me some Primarks, then I'm not going to say no. And their sales surpass £250 million. That's British pounds. It's not dollars, that's British pounds. So let's jump in and let's have a little talk about how GW has achieved this success. So the website that's providing me with this information is called thisismoney.co.uk. I will leave a link in the description in case you want to go and read it for yourself and stuff like that. Very, very information on here when it comes to stocks and all that kind of stuff if you like to play the stock markets, let's say. So Games Workshop shares jumped 5% on the Friday just gone after the firm updated the market. It said, according to this article, that more than £5 million in staff bonuses this year will be given out. So that's what I said before, if someone wants to buy me an army, I'm all for it. And the firm has expected to reach sales of £250+ million. That is a 15% jump from the last time they updated their stock market stuff. So GW is continually to grow, to exceed, to expand, to be absolutely a powerhouse when it comes to the miniature market at the moment. Like last year when they updated the market on their stuff, everyone was praising them, saying, wow, they've done a fantastic job, the interaction with the community and all that. Can it really get any better? Can sales go up? And yes, they have. Like I said, they've gone up by 15%. So they've continued to do what they do best, and they've improved it. There's the new armies that have actually come out, which have blown a lot of people out the way. Like this year alone, we've had a ton of Primaris stuff. I'm just talking about 40k at the moment. We've had a ton of Primaris stuff. We had the whole Chaos launch, Abaddon, all those models that went with it. And of course, the year's really not over yet. We've still got Sisters, potentially Eldar, potentially more Primaris Marines, potentially maybe even new codexes on the horizon as well. And that really doesn't take into account with all the AOS stuff which has happened as well. Now, I'm not really big into AOS, so you'll have to excuse me when I come to like naming new armies and stuff like that, but I do know there's a ton of AOS stuff that have been hitting the market. Now, a lot of people back in the day, and I was one of them. I was really, really upset when Fantasy got smushed into the ground. I was a huge Bretonian fan, I was upset when he went down, but financially, GW have made the right decision by rebranding that game into AOS. I've been told through people who play the game, it's a lot more fun than Fantasy was. The tournament scene, which is very, very big when it comes to AOS, again, I've been told, I can't really go into that much detail since I don't really follow AOS and all that kind of stuff, but that is really exploding on the scene as well. Not just in the UK or Europe, but across the globe. The USA is really, really trending when it comes to AOS tournaments and armies and all that kind of stuff. I think there's another big factor to this, which a lot of people don't talk about. I think back in the day, it wasn't really accepted of the general population about wargaming and models and stuff like that. You were kind of looked down on at being a geek. I don't want to sugarcoat it or anything like that. People, you play with models, then what are you, a child? If you were like a teenager to a man and stuff like that. But these days, with like everything that's going on, like the internet's brought it more to the forefront of the general public and stuff like that. Really, you don't really get judged anymore. So I personally think a lot of people feel more easy going into GW stores or, showing their friends, posting it on their social media accounts that they collect these models, they paint these models, all that kind of stuff. And I think that, again, gets more people interested in the hobby. Say, hey, Steve's doing an army. That looks really cool. I think I'm going to go out and get an army as well so I can play with Steve and, that kind of stuff. So I think the general acceptance of the hobby has exploded as well. And I think that is one of the not the main thing which is skyrocketed GW, but one of the big factors into their success. And also, we've mentioned this plenty of times now, the whole community aspect of GW has changed massively in the last, 4 to 5 years, let's say, where before that, during the dark days, I like to call them, you didn't really get any interaction with GW. No one knew what was going on. There was no communication between people who worked at the HQ with the people who were basically the customers of the product. But these days, like, there's people who work there. For example, Nicky Baton, who is a fantastic painter. He's actually part of the GW painting team now. It's a shame that he paints Ultramarines, to be completely fair. That is probably one of his downsides. But for example, he's got a Twitter account, and I send him messages all the time. He sends me messages. We have a laugh and stuff like that. He's posting all his models, and that's not just him. There's other members of staff and stuff. They communicate, and they go back and forth with the customer and stuff like that. And that really, really helps bond people to the hobby when you've got these people who are representing the company in these kind of ways. So I think on the social media aspect as well, that is another big thing that GW has encompassed in the company that they've gone back out there and done, and they've actually listened to the customer. I know it's a weird thing when it comes to business, but if you actually listen to your customer and listen to what they want, and then you provide that, guess what? They will buy it, and they will buy it in abundance. And on the topic of buying stuff, I think they've gone around this fantastically well. There's a bunch of new skirmish games, Titanicus, Blood Bowl, Necromunda, some of the old school stuff which really got the old players motivated into the hobby. They've started to bring that back out. Hopefully they'll carry that on with stuff like Battlefleet Gothic. That's what my fingers are crossed for. But you've also got stuff like the new 8th edition. For example, for me, I was more or less into the lore side of 40k. I always wanted to play the tabletop stuff, but once I got my hands on the 7th edition book, I was scratching my head. I was like, oh, this is a bit too complicated for me. But once 8th edition came out and it streamlined it a bit, I think that kind of helped push the tabletop into a certain direction to get more new people into it. Again, you can argue and say, well, 7th edition was better, 8th edition is crap. I'm sure there's lots of debates out there, but from my personal experience, from what they did with 8th edition, it really got me motivated. It really got me into the hobby. And you can see on my channel, all my build logs on my armor. I've got executioners, I've got custodies, I'm starting a brand new Primaris Imperial Fist Force. So all because of the inspiration and the way 8th edition inspired me to get into the game. And adding to that, again, you've got I just previously mentioned the specialist games and stuff like that, but you've got stuff like Black Library, you've got the Horus Heresy series on there. They're absolutely pumping out new books now, like Dark Imperium, Plague Wars. There's a ton of sister books. I can literally sit here for the next 10 minutes going through Black Library books since 8th edition's launch that has really pushed the lore forward, really made new stories, Primarchs returning back, all that kind of amazing thing. So I think when you start adding all this together, you look at it and you think, of course these guys are making money. Of course they're doing such a great job. Like the shares on Friday are the shares were recorded on Friday were £47.74 per share, which is absolutely amazing. Like when I previously mentioned about the GW staff potentially getting a bonus check for because how good GW's done, it says in this article apparently that's more than 2,500 each for its 1,900 employees in recognition of the staff's contribution to these results. So you can see that this company recognizes its staff, and if they are doing a good job, then they reward it. And I'm sure that gives morale to the staff themselves. That gives them more incentive to go out to spread the word with Warhammer. If I got a bonus check of £2,500 from my employer, I'd be like, you know what, are we best friends? Let's do it. Let's book a holiday together. Let's become BFFs, because that is the kind of care I think businesses should be doing with their staff. And if GW are doing this and it is something like that, then the only thing I can say is I can take my hats off to them. I know there's other issues out there which we can bring up about, you know, communication with certain aspects, you know, like the paint range. I know there's a lot of upset people about, you know, the like glazes going apparently and stuff like that. We can get into all that. The Forge World, some of the Forge World models where they hiked up the prices and stuff and all that kind of stuff of, you know, to Australia, New Zealand. You know, there is some gloomy side to it as well, but on the general whole, the business is doing absolutely fantastic. It's knocking it out the park. Like I said, 15% since the last time they put their stuff in. So it's doing absolutely fantastic. Now the big thing is, what does this mean now from the future? Of course, I think they're still going to be pumping stuff out. I still think the way GW are now, it's basically every month there's something new. There's new models, there's new books, there's new like rules, everything like that. I personally think GW, if you're listening now, whoever's on the board or anything like that, all you need to do is release another Primarch, right? If you release another Primarch, Rogue or Dawn, and you put that out there, then your share price won't be £47.74. That will at least double. It will at least double. You're probably going to be looking at around 100 plus per share, right? Probably most of that down to me buying the entire stock. I'll take your entire stock. So if you want to look to the future, then just release all the Primarchs and you will make all the cash. Right, that's me done for another video, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching. Tell me what you think. Do you think GW have been, well, of course they've been successful, but how do you think they've managed their success? Why do you think they're just raking the cash in at the moment? Let me know in the comment section below, and as always, we can have a nice little healthy chat about it down there. Thank you for watching the video once again. I'll see you all very, very soon. See you now, and bye-bye.